Welcome back. This is second part of the video on how to use find command in Linux system. Okay, let's continue it. And I'm going to just go to this directory 4 and create a bunch of files. Okay, there are 3 empty files. So now I'm going to use find command to find all the empty files. To do that, just type find period. It will search in current directory. Type files, and now let's give another flag empty. So this dash empty will just find all the empty files in this directory, and let's hit enter. Okay, it found 3 files, file1, file2, file3, and our permission denied message because we didn't suppress the errors. So now we can just use find to find the empty directory also. Let's just now delete those empty files. To do that, just type exec and execute the command rm the rest part. Let's check. Okay, now all 3 files, file1, file2, and file3 are deleted. You can also just find empty directory also. Let's first create an empty directory. So we created a directory named empty. Okay, let's find this empty directory also. To do that, just type find period. In this type, we are just going to search for directory and dash empty. So this name should maybe anything. I just named is empty. Let's suppress the errors also. Okay, now it found out this directory, okay, that we just created, and we know that it's empty. Okay, now let's create some files with hidden names. To do that, just use this period in the beginning of file name. Okay, so we just created these 2 files, but we cannot see here using ls. We have to just give ls dash a flag, and now we just saw both the files. So to find this hidden files, to just use this command find dot to search in current directory. Type will be file, and in name we are again going to use the wildcard star. Actually dot and star. Okay, the file begins with dot. Okay, then this star represent every other strings after this dot character. Now let's suppress the errors. Okay, it found out both the hidden files. So that's how we find to just search for hidden files also. Okay, now let's search files that's owned by a specific user. Okay, to do that, just type find dot means search in current directory, and we are now going to use new flag named user, and we are going to find all the files owned by user root. Let's suppress the error. Okay, it found out a file named read only file. So let's check if it is owned by user root or not. You can see here that the file is just owned by user root. Now to search for file owned by specific group, just type find dot and dash group. It will just search for file owned by a specific group, and Oscar is one of the groups. Okay, let's search it. It found many files and directories that are owned by this group Oscar. So to do search for files only, just add the flag dash type, and F, it will just search for files owned by this group Oscar. Okay, and let's add another flag named this file also name. Let's search for all files having this file string in their name. Okay, so we are going to find files having this string file in them, and it's owned by group Oscar. Okay, let's run it. Okay, we found bunch of files. So all of them has this string file in them. They are all file. Then they are owned. Let's check if they are owned by group Oscar or not. Okay, and they are just owned by group Oscar also. Okay, now so let's use find command to just find out files that are modified and accessed within certain time. So now we are just going to introduce a new flag named -m time. So it will represent m represent for modified. So this flag will just find the files that are modified within certain time. So let's search for flags that are modified within 10 days. To do that, just keep 10 at last, and let's suppress the error. Okay, there are no files that are just modified 10 days back. So now let's check the files that are accessed within this last n days. To do that, just type find, give the directory and a time. So it will just represent access times. Let's check. Guys, forget to suppress the error. So it will just find all the files that are just accessed within 1 day time. None. You can just combine both of them also. So to find the files that are accessed during 1 to 10 days, to just add another flag a time and 10. Okay, this will just find the files that were accessed between first, so 1 day back to 10 day back. So there are none in my system. Now let's just search for files that were just changed in last 1 hour. To do that, we are going to use another flag named ctime or cmin rather than cmin. So you need to enter the time in minutes. Okay, let's check. File just changed between 30 minutes. Let's suppress the error because there are none in 30 minutes. Let's check if there are any files which are changed in 5 minutes. Just then let's suppress the error. Okay, find out that okay, there are none in 5 minutes also. So there are actually two files 10 minutes back that were just changed. So we just find the files that were changed 10 minutes ago, just adding m in place of c. It will also find the files that were modified some n minutes ago. So you can just check the files that were accessed in last hour also. To do that, just type a min and give 60. That will just represent an hour. Just type find and dash a min. It will search for file that are accessed within certain time duration. Let's keep 10 minutes. Okay, there are none. Okay, if you just give m min, it will just search for files that are modified in last 10 minutes, and c min, it will search the files that were changed in last 10 minutes. So now just you can just use find and just find those files so that were changed or modified or accessed during certain time durations. Okay, now let's just search for files with a certain size. Okay, let's search in this root directory, find slash and dash size will just specify this flag will just specify the size of the files. Okay, let's keep plus 10 m. It will just search for size just greater than 10 MB, and let's give the type also. It will be file just that we'll be searching for. Just suppress the error. Okay, there are bunch of files that are greater than 10 MB. Rather than I should have used 100 MB. Okay, so now it is searching for all the files which are greater than 100 MB. These are the files. Okay, to search for files that are less than 100 MB, just keep -100 M and it will just search for files which are less than 100 MB. You can just combine it with name also, dash name. Let's use the wildcard and just find for Java file jar. Search for files greater than 100 MB. Okay, it found out the file, this Bob Suite Pro version 2.1.04.jar, which is just greater than 100 MB. So now you can just hunt for files using their size also using this find command. Okay, now let's talk about two important flags, dash o and dash a. Dash o represent or, so just you can use dash o in this comparison criteria. Okay, and dash a also, dash a represent end. So this time now let's use find command to search for both .jar and .rar files that are just greater than 100 MB. To do that, just type find and size which are greater than 100 MB. Okay, so we are searching for both jar and rar file. So dash a means end. We are just using or flag. Okay, dash o means or flag, and give the flag name again. And .rar. Okay, it will just search for both jar and rar. Okay, it kind of found 4 files having extension jar and rar. Or flag, you can just similarly use end flag also. Okay, after all these examples, I think you kind of have some idea about using find commands. Okay, let's hope that this tutorial help you to just use find command to just hunt for different files and directories and so on. You can just use find to search for SUID bits enabled files or permissions misconfigured files that will just come handy during solving CTFs and other ethical hacking process and pen testing process. Okay, this much for in this video. Thanks for watching it, and please don't forget to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon.